Gora Karuna Swarpaya Radha Krishna Prashade Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasudeva Bhakta-vrinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasudeva Bhakta-vrinda Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, 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 Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Gopala, 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 Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Sita Swarupa Ananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Sita Swarupa Ananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Sita Swarupa Ananda Paramahamsa. Haribol, haribol. Salamat po. Krishna Krishna. Haribol. Meron pa?
Haribol, namaste, Ma'am Eleanor. Thank you very much po.
Haribol, can you guys hear me?
Yes po, sir.
Nadidinig ako. Thank you. Maraming salamat, Elinette, for the entry kirtan. Okay, let's all pray. Namo Siddha Swarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine Gaura Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestayate, Bhaja Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Haribol. Thank you very much, Leia. Okay, I welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam class. And, teka, sino yung first reader natin?
Sir Pravin po, tapos Ma'am Sharni, din Ate Cheryl po.
Okay.
Text 30.
Go ahead, Mr. Pravin.
Haribol, can you hear me?
Yes, you are clear.
Yeah. Text 32. Your Majesty, Maharaj Parikshit, know that all that I have described in reply to your proper inquiry is just according to the version of the Ved, and it is eternal truth. This was described personally by Lord Sri Krishna unto Brahma, with whom the Lord was satisfied upon being properly worshipped. The two different ways of reaching the spiritual sky and thereby getting emancipation from all the material bondage, namely either by the direct process of reaching the kingdom of God or by gradual process through the other higher planets of the universe, are set forth exactly according to the version of the Ved. The Vedic versions in this connection are यदा सर्वे प्रमुच्यन्ते कामायस्य हृदि श्रिता अथम मर्त्यो मृतो भवत्य अत्तर ब्रह्मम समुष्णुते तेर्चिर अभिसंभवन्ति. Those who are free from all material desires, which are diseases of the heart, are able to conquer death and enter the kingdom of God through the Archi planets. These Vedic versions corroborate the version of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the latter is further confirmed by Shukadev Goswami, who affirms that the truth was disclosed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, Vasudeva, to Brahmaji, the first authority of the Ved. The disciplic succession holds that the Ved were uttered by Lord Sri Krishna to Brahma, from Brahma to Narad, and from Narad to Vyasadeva, and then from Vyasadeva to Shukadev, from Vyasadeva to Shukadev Goswami, and so on. So there is no difference between the versions of all authorities, nor do they differ from one another. The truth is eternal, and as such, there cannot be any new opinion about the truth. That is the way of knowing the knowledge contained in the Ved. It is not a thing to be understood by one's erudite scholarship or by the fashionable interpretations of mundane scholars. There is nothing to be added and nothing to be subtracted, because the truth is the truth. One has to accept, after all, some authority. The modern scientists are also authorities for the common man for some scientific truths. The common man follows the version of scientists. This means that the common man follows the authority. The Vedic knowledge is also received in that way. The common man cannot argue what is beyond the sky or beyond the universe, but he must accept the versions of the Ved as they are understood by the authorized disciplic succession. In the Bhagavad Gita also, the same process of understanding the Gita is stated in the 4th chapter. If one does not follow the authoritative versions of the Acharya, he will vainly search after the truth mentioned in the Ved. Haribol.
Haribol, thank you very much, Mr. Pravin. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here is a direct instruction by Srila Vyasadeva to Maharaj Pariksit, no, about how to receive this spiritual information. It cannot be received by mundane philosophy, or it cannot be received by so-called uh, yoga, uh, by any type of yoga means, especially um, uh, the impersonalists who try to understand God, who try to understand Krishna, using their own mental speculation. It is not possible to understand. There are only uh, two ways to receive information, as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. First, it was received by Lord Brahma from Lord Vishnu or from Krishna, and then later on, Srila Vyasadeva gave this information to Maharaj Pariksit. So, in other words, if we want to understand the absolute truth, yeah, we have to follow uh, the Vedic process. We have to follow the parampara system. There can be no knowledge, there can be no wisdom uh, as afar or aside from uh, the Vedic parampara system. So the parampara is very, very important. The parampara is our way of getting to the absolute truth. Mundane scholars, and mundane so-called yogic process will not help us. It can only give us false information, that will not satisfy the soul. Okay, so very, very clear here. We have to get this information from the parampara system. So let's continue our reading.
Haribol, namaste. Haribol, everyone. Continuation, text 33,
Can you read
translation.
loudly, no, Sharni?
Sorry.
Mm.
Okay na, sir?
Yeah, okay na. Mm.
Translation. For those who are wandering in the material universe, there is no more auspicious means of deliverance than what is aimed at in the direct devotional service of Lord Krishna. Purport. As will be clarified in the next verse, devotional service or direct bhakti yoga is the only absolute and auspicious means of deliverance from the grip of material existence. There are many indirect methods for deliverance from the clutches of material existence, but none of them are easy and auspicious as bhakti yoga. The means of jnana and yoga and other allied disciplines are not independent to deliver a performer. Such activities help one to reach the stage of bhakti yoga after many, many years. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, text 5, it is said that those who are attached to the impersonal feature of the Absolute are liable to many troubles in the pursuit of their desired goal, and the empiricist philosophers searching after the absolute truth, Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 text 19, realize the importance of Vasudeva realization as all in all after many, many births. As far as yoga systems are concerned, it is also said in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 text 47 that amongst the mystics who are after the absolute truth, that the one who is always engaged in the service of the Lord is the greatest of all. And the last instruction in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 66, advises fully surrendering unto the Lord, leaving aside all other engagements or different processes for self-realization and liberation from material bondage. And the purport of all Vedic literatures is to induce one to accept the transcendental loving service of the Lord by all means. As it is already explained in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, either direct bhakti yoga or the means which ultimately culminate in bhakti yoga without any tinge of fruitive activity constitute the highest form of religion. Everything else is simply a waste of time for the performer. Srila Sridhara Swami and all other acharyas like Jiva Goswami, etc., agree that Bhakti Yoga is not only easy, simple, natural, and free from trouble, but that is the only source of happiness for the human being. Haribol, namaste po. Thank you so much.
Haribol, thank you very much, Sharni. So there is no other way except Bhakti Yoga. Some people may try to understand the absolute truth by many process. No, they can speculate. Uh, they can follow the uh, instructions of of these impersonalists, and they can try their very best to engage in uh, jnana yoga. No? Jnana means knowledge. Well, it is actually possible to do that. If you want to do that, it is not something that is impossible. It is possible to do that. But the uh, culmination of that activity culminates in bhakti yoga. In other words, it um, it is not something that can bring you closer to Krishna in love and devotion. It is only through bhakti yoga, by the process of the parampara system, that you are able to actually understand what devotional service is, what is the path, towards towards um, spiritual enlightenment. And it is described here that um, anything other than devotional service, anything other than uh, hearing the absolute truth from uh, from the parampara system is a waste of time. So waste of time, meaning you can try for hundreds and thousands of years to understand the absolute truth via your own mental speculation, or for some other paths other than devotional service or the parampara system. It's not possible. You will just be wasting your uh, time. So it's very, very clear here. So let's continue our reading.
Haribol.
Haribol Namaste, sir. Haribol Namaste, everyone. Text 34. The great personality Brahma, with great attention and concentration of the mind, studied the Vedas 3 times, and after scrutinizingly examining them, he ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion. Continue pa po, sir.
Yeah, please.
Purport.
Read the purport.
Sri Sukadev Goswami is referring to the highest Vedic authority, Lord Brahma, who is the qualitative incarnation of God. The Vedas were taught to Brahmaji in the beginning of the material creation. Although Brahmaji was to hear Vedic instructions directly from the personality of Godhead, in order to satisfy the inquisitiveness of all prospective students of the Vedas, Brahmaji, just like a scholar, studied the Vedas 3 times, as generally done by all scholars. He studied with great attention, concentrating on the purpose of the Vedas, and after scrutinizingly examining the whole process, he ascertained that becoming a pure, unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the topmost perfection of all religious principles. This is the last instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, directly presented by the Personality of Godhead. The Vedic conclusion is thus accepted by all acharyas, and those who are against this conclusion are only Veda Ratas, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita 2:42.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Cheryl, maraming salamat sa iyo. So, the greatest authority out of Vedas, Lord Brahmaji, has already spoken. In other words, Lord Brahmaji was considered to be the most elevated, uh, the most spiritually elevated personality in the material world. Was the one who was the one, he was the recipient of this absolute truth coming from God Himself, no, Lord Vishnu, and um, he had to he had to study the Vedas three times, as most scholars would do. So it is described that um, in in receiving information, first, we cannot just receive information uh, as instructed by just anyone, by just anybody. Lord Brahma himself, and of course Srila Vyasadeva, has concluded or have concluded that um, in order for us to understand the absolute truth, to understand our relationship with Krishna, to understand what Bhakti Yoga means, the highest yoga system is Bhakti Yoga, and we have to receive it coming from the authoritative sources or the Parampara system. The knowledge that is received is very, very important. At the same time, it is described by great scholars like Srila Jiva Goswami that this knowledge is actually very, very. This is the ultimate wisdom. At the same time, it is the easiest process for self-realization. In other words, some yoga process would advise you to go to the mountains, yeah, and try to veer away from your sensual, from sensual objects. In other words, you just stay there, sit down, and meditate there for so many years, trying to understand the absolute truth, which is actually, especially in this day and age of Kali Yuga, it is very, very impractical to do that. Very impractical because the mind is so distracted. Yeah, the senses become very agitated because of the times. Even though you are already in the mountain, you will still be agitated by the influence of Kali Yuga. And so it is not possible to receive information, to receive, this absolute truth through the process of mundane achievements or so-called yoga process, other types of yoga process. Isa lang talaga nire-recommend. There's only one recommendation here. The recommendation is bhakti yoga or devotional service to Krishna. Devotional service to Krishna it is actually very simple because you're dealing straight with Krishna. Hindi ka na kailangan dumaan kung saan-saan pa. Krishna is right there and there. And it is described that when you chant the holy names of, when you hear the holy names of Krishna, yeah, when you hear the holy names of Krishna, it's actually like calling out Krishna. And when you chant the holy names of Krishna, Krishna himself comes to you. Krishna himself um, reveals himself to the devotee. So this Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu is very important. It's not only getting your beads or getting your guitar and chanting, but actually Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu is the process of studying the Vedas, like the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. This is actually part of Sravanam Kirtanam. You Sravanam means hearing, okay, and Kirtanam means chanting or reading the glories of Krishna. This is the process. Okay, let's read further.
Ma'am Elinet po.
Sorry po. Text 35. Text 35. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being along with the individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. The general argument of the common man is that since the Lord is not visible to our eyes, how can one either surrender unto Him or render transcendental service unto Him? To such a common man, here is a practical suggestion given by Srila Sukadev Goswami as to how one can perceive the Supreme Lord by reason and perception. Actually, the Lord is not perceived by our present materialized senses. But when one is convinced of the presence of the Lord by a practical service attitude, there is a revelation by the Lord's mercy. And such a pure devotee of the Lord can perceive the Lord's presence always and everywhere. He can perceive that intelligence is the form, direction of the Paramatma, plenary portion of the personality of Godhead. The presence of Paramatma in everyone's company is not very difficult to realize, even for the common man. The procedure is as follows. One can perceive one's self-identification and feel positively that he exists. He may not feel it very abruptly, but by using a little intelligence, he can feel that he is not the body. He can feel that the hand, the leg, the head, the hair, and the limbs are all his bodily parts and parcels. But as such, the hand, the leg, the head, etc., cannot be identified with his self. Therefore, just by using intelligence, he can distinguish. Teka lang po, nawala. Hindi ko na makita. He can distinguish and separate
his self from other things that he sees. So the natural conclusion is that the living being, either man or beast, is the seer, and he sees besides himself all other things. So there is a difference between the seer and the seen. Now, by a little use of intelligence, we can also readily agree that the living being who sees the things beyond himself by ordinary vision has no power to see or to move independently. All our ordinary actions and perceptions depend on various forms of energy supplied to us by nature in various combinations. Our senses of perception and of action, that is to say, our five perceptive senses of 1. Hearing, 2. Touch, 3. Sight, 4. Taste, and 5. Smell, as well as our five senses of action, namely 1. Hands, 2. Legs, 3. Speech, 4. Evacuation organs, and 5. Reproductive organs, and also our 3 subtle senses, namely 1. Mind, 2. Intelligence, and 3. Ego. 13 senses in all are supplied to us by various arrangements of gross or subtle forms of natural energy. And it is equally evident that our objects of perception are nothing but the products of the exhaustible permutations and combinations of the forms taken by natural energy. As this conclusively proves that the ordinary living beings has no independent power of perception or of motion, and as we undoubtedly feel our existence being conditioned by nature's energy, we conclude that he who sees is spirit, and that the senses as well as the objects of perceptions are material. The spiritual quality of the seer is manifest in our dissatisfaction with the limited state of materially conditioned existence. That is the difference between spirit and matter. There are some less intelligent arguments that matter develops the power of seeing and moving as a certain organic development. But such an argument cannot be accepted because there is no experimental evidence that matter has anywhere produced a living entity. Trust no future, however pleasant. Idle talks regarding future development of matter into spirit are actually foolish because no matter has ever developed the power of seeing or moving in any part of the world. Therefore, it is definite that matter and spirit are two different identities, and this conclusion is arrived at by the use of intelligence. Now we come to the point that the things which are seen by little use of intelligence cannot be animate unless we accept someone as the user of or director of the intelligence. Intelligence gives one direction like some higher authority, and the living being cannot see or move or eat or do anything without the use of intelligence. When one fails to take advance of intelligence, he becomes a deranged man. And so a living being is dependent on intelligence or the direction of a superior being. Such intelligence is all-pervading. Every living being has his intelligence, and this intelligence, being the direction of some higher authority, is just like a father giving direction to his son. The higher authority who is present and residing within every individual living being is the super self. At this point in our investigation, we may consider the following. Pakitaas po. Haribol. Haribol.
Horrible, ma'am.
The
Okay na po siya.
following. At
Following
this point
question.
At this point in our investigation, we may consider the following question. On the other hand, we realize that all our perceptions and activities are conditioned by arrangements of material nature. Yet we also ordinarily feel and say, I am perceiving or I am doing. Therefore, we can say that our material senses of perception and action are moving because we are identifying the self with the material body, and that the superior principle of super self is guiding and supplying us according to our desire. By taking advantage of the guidance of super self in the form of intelligence, we can either continue to study and to put into practice our conclusion that I am not this body, or we can choose to remain in the false material identification, fancying ourselves to be the processor and doers. Our freedom consists in orienting our desire either toward the ignorant material misconception or the true spiritual conception. We can easily attain to the true spiritual conception by recognizing the super self, Paramatma, to be our friend and guide by dovetailing our intelligence with the superior intelligence of Paramatma, the super self, and the
Individual self.
Haribol. Haribol. And the individual self are both spirit, and therefore the super self and the individual self are both qualitatively one and distinct from matter. But the super self and the individual self cannot be on an equal level because the super self gives direction or supplies intelligence, and the individual self follows the direction, and thus actions are performed properly. The individual is completely dependent on the direction of the super self because in every step, the individual self follows the direction of the super self in the matter of seeing, hearing, thinking, feeling, willing, etc. So far as common sense is concerned, we come to the conclusion that there are three identities, namely matter, spirit, and super spirit. Now, if we go to the Bhagavad Gita, or the Vedic intelligence, we can further understand that all three identities. Teka, nawala ako. Nasaan na? Sorry po, nawala ako.
The identities, namely matter, individual spirit.
Okay. Namely matter, individual spirit, and the super spirit are all dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The super self is a partial representation or plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, dominates all over the material world by his partial representation only. God is great, and he cannot be simply an order supplier of the individual selves. Therefore, the super self cannot be a full representation of the Supreme Self, Purushotam, the absolute personality of Godhead. Realization of the super self by the individual self is the beginning of self-realization, and by the progress of such self-realization, one is able to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by intelligence, by the help of authorized scriptures, and principally by the grace of the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary conception of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the further explanation of the science of Godhead. So, if we stick to our determination and pray for the mercy of the Director of Intelligence, sitting within the same bodily tree, like a bird sitting with another bird, as explained in the Upanishads, certainly the purport of the revealed informations in the Vedas becomes clear to our vision, and there is no difficulty in realizing the Supreme. Krishna. Haribol.
The intelligent man, therefore,
Hindi pa po tumataas.
mabagal yata
Loading
ang
lang
balik
yung
sa'yo,
sa'yo,
no?
ma'am.
Ay, sorry. Ganon. Nasaan na ako?
Vasudeva, personality of God at Vasudeva.
Vasudeva.
Yeah.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. The intelligent man, therefore, after many births of such use of intelligence, surrenders himself at the lotus feet of Vasudeva, as confirmed by the Bhagavad Gita 7.19. Namaste, Haribol. Salamat po.
Haribol, thank you very much, Elinet. Maraming salamat. So there are many information here, no? But I think most of us here uh, would already understand a bit of this because we have studied the science of identity. And if we study the science of identity, we're able to actually understand the separation of the material energy and the spiritual energy, no? The material energy consists of the material body, the five senses, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and the three subtle material energy, which is the mind, intelligence, and false ego. Those eight comprise the material energy. And the living being, the soul, you, the non-material self, belongs to the spiritual energy. So dalawa lang talaga yan. Dalawa, there are basically two uh, uh, energies in yoga. Two energies lang talaga yan. And it is the Supreme Self. The Supreme Self is actually Lord Paramatma, who actually guides an individual to understand his real identity. So by the mercy and blessing of Lord Paramatma, and of course the mercy of the spiritual master, one can understand these different things. There is a great discussion here about the movements of the intelligence. What is intelligence? Is everyone here in the room understands the difference between mind, intelligence, and false ego? Alam ba natin ang difference nun? What is the difference between the mind and intelligence? Yun na lang muna. What is the difference? You know, we think like this, we're using our mind, but how does it differ from intelligence? Anyone? It is described here that by the uh, by the process of using one's intelligence, we are able to actually see that there is a seer and a doer. For example, in every activity that we perform, uh, we can understand that there is somebody doing it. No, there is a doer and somebody seeing it. For example, right now, you are the one doing the sitting there in front of the computer, and you are the one seeing what's happening. Yeah. But as far as material science is concerned, they do not have any idea of how the intelligence is different from the mind. They cannot understand this perfectly. Rhea, would you know?
Namaste, sir. Yung intelligence is the faculty of the spirit soul in a human form of life which we can use to differentiate what is right and what is wrong. And the mind po, siya yung siya, dun yung sabi niyo po kanina nga na dun 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 na 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 sisi ng spirit soul sa mind yung mga gagawin niya or from the past or from the present tsaka future po. And through intelligence, for example, he wants to do something, the spiritual can use the intelligence to decide if it is right or wrong or to pursue it just in case po.
Yung mind kasi, tama ka, yung mind is a continuous flow of thoughts. It is a continuous flow of thoughts. Tuloy-tuloy lang ang mind eh. Kamukha ngayon, like I'm speaking, and my mind is actually providing me with words. Maraming words na piniprovide yung mind sa akin. But by the use of intelligence, I pick up the right words so that I can, I can make myself understood clearly. Kasi kung walang intelligence, kung mind lang, it will just be an ever-flowing thoughts, no? So kung anong sabihin ng mind mo, yun na yun, ikaw na yun. Yun na yung sasabihin mo. But there is another higher element, and that is the intelligence. And the intelligence is actually an element being used by the doer, being used by the seer. The doer and the seer is the living being inside the body. Kamukha ngayon, nagkakaroon tayo ng interaction, nagkakaroon tayo ng communication, because I am here in this body. and you are there in your respective bodies. Yeah. So you're able to process. You're able to process the discussion by the use of your intelligence. Nadidinig mo na 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 ano mo, na-perceive mo through the mind kasi nakakadinig ka, you show your senses. The mind kasi is the central it is the center of your senses. So, yung mga senses, lahat ng mga nadidinig natin, nakikita natin, yung naaamoy natin, natatouch natin lahat. Yeah, it passes through the mind. So yung mind ngayon uh, is the one giving us all the informations sabay-sabay. Okay? Kasi ever-flowing thoughts nga yan eh. But in order for you to understand this itong ano natin itong ating discussion, you are using your intelligence. Madali lang ba intindihin yun? Actually, sa science of identity ito. Science of identity na class. Ano yung difference? What is the distinct difference between mind and intelligence? So, yung intelligence, siya yung nag-ano, siya yung ah, I am able to use my intelligence to pick up the right words so that I can be understood. So that ma-explain ko sa inyo. Yun ang intelligence. Without the intelligence, sabog ang mundo. Alam niyo ba yung when you play the guitar, anybody here who plays the guitar, anybody here who knows music, hindi ba nagpi-play ka ng guitar, no? E minor, G, A minor, ganyan. So when you play the guitar, you actually use your intelligence. Kasi kung walang intelligence, kung ano sabihin ng mind mo, yun ang susundin mo. Yun ang, that is what you're going to do. The mind says, okay, D, okay, G, F, wala naman sa tono. So dahil may intelligence, you're able to process. Pag ginawa ko tong G na dapat E minor ito, mag-iibang tono. So you use your intelligence to make it so that magiging in harmony yung thoughts mo. In harmony yung pinipresent mo. Yeah. So the intelligence, it is described here, is actually also uh, represented by uh, Paramatma. Partially represented by Paramatma, Lord Paramatma. Kasi siya yung super self. So you have the mind, you have the intelligence, you have the self, and then you have the super self. Ang mga impersonalists, they say there's the mind, yeah, and there's the intelligence, and then there is the super self. Wala ngang self eh. This is the difference between an impersonalist viewpoint compare mo sa isang devotee's viewpoint. The devotee's viewpoint always point out to the seer and the doer. In other words, the individual self, my individual self, and then there is the super self, and the super self is represented by Lord Paramatma or Krishna. The difference is that the super self, without the super self, you cannot activate the mind. You cannot activate the intelligence without the super self. Siya rin nagpapagana nun eh, lahat. Krishna in the form of Lord Paramatma. Does anybody have a question on this? Naintindihan nyo na ba yan?
Namaste, sir. Just for clarification lang po.
Go ahead.
That's, animals also have some level of intelligence, right?
Yes.
But but it's not the same as
Humans.
humans, yes.
Hmm.
That's yung the structure of the human brain has something to do with the intelligence. It is somehow like related or correlated, or no relation at all, because in science they said that the brain structure is related to the intelligence of human being, something like that.
Well, it is another type of element. The mind is a totally different element than the intelligence. Now, the animal intelligence as provided by nature, okay, it is not capable of understanding spiritual realization. Yun. Yun lang yung difference nun. Only the human form of life can actually understand the difference between himself, okay, the soul, and the body. This body, or the self and the mind, or the self and the intelligence. Humans na nakakagawa nun. Ang mga animals, as arranged by material nature, they are simply yung animals, they have as arranged by material nature. Ano lang sila yung they are able to actually just react. Nagre-react lang sila, pero they cannot understand. They're able to react on what the senses are offering them. Nakaka-react sila doon. Pero hindi na nila, they cannot distinguish the mind and intelligence. Kaya wala talaga silang intelligence. Mayroon silang intelligence just enough. No? For example, you see a dog. He is actually on top of the building. Tapos nasusunog yung building. Yung dog nandun. No? He wants to jump, kaya lang alam niya that when he does that, he's going to die. So mayroong level of intelligence yun. You understand this? Yung mind, nagsasabi sa kanya, delikado to. There's fire, and if I'm not going to do anything, I will be burnt. But at the same time, sasabihin din sa kanya ng intelligence na you have to find a way. You have to find a way in order for you to be saved in this particular inferno. Ganon. So, gusto mo niyang tumalon, yung mind magsasabi sa kanya, talon ka, talon ka. But the intelligence is telling him, no. Pag ginawa mo yun, mamamatay ka. Hindi kaya ng katawan mo. Yeah? Meron silang level of intelligence, but that is not to be compared with the level of intelligence of a human being. A human being kasi, we are the only creature, huh? uh, that has the opportunity to get out from the miserable birth and death. Tayo lang. Tayo lang din nakakaalam ang relationship natin between ourselves and Krishna. By the use of our intelligence, a person can understand his relationship with others, with nature, yeah, with the environment, and of course with God. Only the human being has that opportunity, has that meron siyang ganong klaseng flexes or reflexes. So it separates him from the animals. Ang animals kasi wala silang ganun. They're only after, or they're only ano lang sila, yung reflexes nila, the reflexes are on the nature of their senses. Wala na silang higher reasoning. Wala na silang higher intelligence to understand their basic. Kasi ano sila, they operate sa basic instinct lang talaga nila. If there's some food, they eat it. Yeah. If, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, yun ang ginagamit nila. Basic instinct lang talaga. Tayo kasi iba eh. Tayo, as human beings, not only are we able to process that, we also have the opportunity to understand, who am I? Sino ba ako? Ang mga animals walang ganun eh. They don't have the chance to understand who they are. Humans have. Meron tayo yan. Because we are provided with the intelligence to understand. Who am I? Why am I here? Why am I suffering? Why is there death? Why is there suffering? It nakaka-formulate yung intelligence natin into asking these very, very important questions. No? Because we have this may special ano tayo. May special. Meron tayong special operation. And that is the intelligence. The intelligence to ask questions, to ask deeper questions. Ganyan. Animals, wala bang intelligence, sir? Yes, mayroon din silang intelligence. Pero very limited intelligence. Very limited intelligence lang talaga. Okay? Hanggang
Okay
dito
po,
na
sir.
lang
Thank you
tayo.
po, Haribol.
Yeah. Does anybody have a question?
Very well, sir. Maybe I
Yes.
just missed something. How about, sir, the difference of the false ego?
Okay. The false ego is yung false ego is the false self. Pag sinabi mo, ego, it refers to the person, to the non-material self. Tayo, spirit soul, that is the ego. Okay? Now, false ego is false self. Something that which is not. Yan ang false ego. So when you misidentify yourself as the body, when you misidentify yourself as made of matter, you're actually under the control of your false ego. That's not you. That's not you. That is the false ego. Now we have to understand that we are the true ego. Yourself is the true ego. Yun lang ang difference nun. When you correctly identify, I am spirit, not matter. Okay, I am not the mind. I'm not the intelligence. Like this, I'm not the false ego. You are actually in your original uh yung identity. Your identity as the true self. True self yun eh. Yung pag sinabi mo, I am this body, or I am made of matter, that is to be understood that you are under the auspices of the false ego. Okay, Shani? Si Shani ba yun?
Yes, sir. Haribol. Thank you, sir. Haribol, namaste.
Namaste. Wala ng question? Okay. Sino pwede magkirtan? Isaac? Isaac, are you there? Haribo. Isaac? Ayun.
Haribol, sir. Good evening.
Haribo, namaste.
Namaste, Haribol.
Haribo, can you please do the exit kirtan?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Bhaja Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana 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 Hari Bol Nitai Gaur 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 Hari Bol Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Nitai Gaur Jai Sri Prabhupada Jai Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Namaste.
Haribol, maraming salamat, Isaac and family, for the wonderful exit kirtan. Thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to thank also Elinet for the opening kirtan. Elinet, thank you. Um, also thanking the Kaban League family led by George for the simulcast, uh, uh, as well as our ano ano natin ngayon, the owner of the room, Rhea. Thank you very much, Rhea, and everybody who read the verses. Maraming salamat po. Jaya Krishna. Haribol.
Thank you very much din po, Sir Rada. Thank you, Ma'am Elinet and Sir Isaac and family for the wonderful kirtan. Sir George for co-hosting at sa lahat ng readers po natin, Sir Pravin, Ma'am Shani, Ate Cheryl, and Ma'am Elinet, Haribol, Namaste. At sa lahat po ng umating, Jaya Gurudev Krishna, Haribol.
Haribol.
Haribol. Thank you very much, guys, for coming this evening. I'll see
Jaya
you next
Krishna.
class. Yeah.
Haribol. Krishna, good night everyone. Signing off po, Haribol.
Good night. Jai Krishna.
Haribol!
Haribol.